It will be very interesting to listen to presentation from Tata Chemicals by Muthuswamy to just change our paradigm regarding the same. So I invite Mr. Muthuswamy on stage to have his wonderful presentation, and his presentation is on operational excellence model for a lean enterprise at Tata Chemicals Limited.
Hello all, good morning. I'm going to walk you through our operational excellence model and how we pursued lean using an operational excellence model. So not only we will be going through the operational excellence journey, but I will also, hopefully be able to explain how we developed a model. Model is not something that you just get from consultants, which is, with all due respect, sometimes it may not fit into your domain. But if you have a model that is well thought through, it might have better success rate, and that's what we are going to discuss. So before getting into our discussion, let me just give you a quick idea about what Tata Chemicals is. Tata Chemicals is the world's second largest producer of soda ash, and we also produce 12% of India's private sector urea, and we have also carved a niche in crop nutrition, and we do also have a pesticides operation. Rallis is one of our subsidiaries. So these are all on the the commodity side of the house, and we also have some exciting consumer products as well. And several of you would have heard about Tata Swatch. That's a very innovative nanotechnology based water purifier that's very affordable, very cheap, but still produces excellent water. And another product that I'm sure everyone would have used from Tata Chemicals, I don't need to explain that more, Tata Salt. So we also produce Tata Salt, and Tata Salt is India's #1 food brand. And we are a fairly global organization, not extremely global, but we do have operations. I would rather say we are an international organization. We do have 3 plants in India, one in Mithapur, one in Babrala, one in Haldia, and we also have Rallis, which is our subsidiary, and Rallis has few plants. Then we do have a plant in Chester, and we also have a couple of mining operations, one in Wyoming in the US and one in, near Nairobi in Kenya. And we do have some commercial operations in South Africa and Singapore. So fairly, I would say, international, and we do around $2 billion, roughly, like maybe a little more than 2 billion, like 15,000 crores of sales. Not as big as some of the other peers in Tata Group, like Tata Steel, Tata Motors, or TCS, but not too small either, somewhere in the middle. That's where we are. And let me give you a quick journey about how we pursued different improvement models. Tata Chemicals, this year we are celebrating 75th year of our company, and the company was started in 1939, and for the first several years, maybe I would say first 10 years, it kind of little bit floundered for the first few years, but it picked up momentum, and by 1950 the company started making some good profits, and we continued to make profits for the next 5 decades, year after year, quarter after quarter. Not a single quarter was missed, so the company was making brilliant profits. And all of a sudden, doom and gloom, in 1999, one of our biggest customers who consumed 20% of our products, that customer set up their own plant to make soda ash. So you lose 20% of your business overnight, but that's not just that. That company also built extra capability or extra capacity. So they also started selling to our other customers as well. So another 20% was gone. So all of a sudden, you are almost like a monopoly, if not a monopoly, at least that was close to that until 99. And suddenly 40% of your business is gone. And you have another very agile, nimble competitor with newer plant. So what do, right? So that's when we formally kicked off with the improvement initiative that was called Action 500. Some of you might know, the old VIX Action 500. That's how we coined this logo, Action 500. That is to reduce the price of soda ash by 500 rupees a ton. So that was a formal improvement program that we kicked off in the company. And that went very well. And actually, we, instead of just saving 500 rupees, we actually saved 1,200 rupees. And the sales price was like 8,000 rupees a ton. So we almost, we reduced the cost of manufacturing it by 15-16%. Big breakthrough, right? I mean, and so that kind of put us back into the business. So now we, with the ability to make our product at 15-16% at a lower cost, we are again back into the business, and we started competing very successfully. And then we also became international. That was the time that we did some overseas acquisition, and we kind of built a bigger portfolio. And since we had the first taste of success on improvement program, we kept on adding more programs like like Manthan, which was looking into top cost drivers and optimizing those cost drivers. And then formal introduction to Lean was through this program called Udan, where we trained our people on the basics of Lean, and we started working on more of 5S, Kaizans, and those kind of more bottom-up kind of improvement initiatives. And then we also had, we also had other programs like Adapt, and finally we also kicked off Lean Six Sigma in 2010. But the reason I'm just quickly going through all this journey is that to some extent the improvement programs were like special purpose vehicles. They were put for some reason. So what we perceive as Lean, and I'm not sure whether anybody would disagree, is how we can have effectiveness and efficiencies throughout our value chain, and that's what we will discuss here, like how we have deployed operational excellence to boost our Lean pursuits. That's going to be the crux of the discussion. Well, so what we positioned operational excellence is something as Lean boosted. So, well, we all know what Lean is. There are very standard tools, techniques, and it's like how to drive waste from operations. So in our operational excellence program, we embraced traditional Lean tools and then went on further by making people getting involved so that we can get better innovations and better breakthroughs. So let's to quote from one of the legends, Ono, the Lean is what rather Toyota production system is a system that says there is no limit to people's creativity. People don't go to Toyota to work. They go there to think. And that's what we try to emulate also, in our own way. And also, we are in a different industry. So we are in process industry. We cannot just take things from Toyota, the practical aspects. So we need to take the philosophies and see how we can develop our own practices around those philosophies. So in our case, the way we have defined operational excellence is that it goes beyond the traditional event model, like when you have Lean drive, Kaizen drive, or like maybe 5S drive, those are all events, specific events. Somebody says that, hey, I'm looking at my annual business plan, and these projects could be good Lean Six Sigma projects. Okay, you go drive the Lean Six Sigma projects for these. And then I'm seeing the shop floor, it's very dirty, so you guys go do a 5S. And I'm seeing this opportunity for improvement. So you guys go do some Kaizans to reduce the, whatever the time is, setup time, lead time, cycle time, whatever. So that's the event-based model. So, but what we wanted to do is, how do we have a more of a holistic program where the program comes up with all these different events on an ongoing basis. That's what we try to do. And that's what we will be discussing down the line. And let me discuss how we conceptualized the operational excellence process. So as I mentioned earlier, one of our first Lean programs, formal Lean programs that we kicked off in our company was called Udan in mid-2000s, around 2005, 2006. And we, that program gave us a lot of good success, and we used that as a starting point for our discussion, for the development of our operational excellence model. And then, we also spoke to all our other people. We asked them, what is operational excellence? When you ask people what operational excellence is, you get all kind of answers. So there will be so many different, views or diverse perspectives. So what we also wanted to do is we want to hear everyone, what all other plans are thinking, or what other folks are thinking within our company about what is operational excellence. So we also gathered all those inputs, and so, there were a lot of variances. When you say operational excellence, it's a very loosely defined word. So we also want to make sure what people mean by operational excellence. So we captured that, those aspects. And then we were very fortunate to, visit Tata Steel. And, we are so, it's also great that Mr. Nerurkar, who was driving the operational, rather the excellence of Tata Steel is here. Maybe not right now, but Mr. Nerurkar was here. So I'm feeling very fortunate about having Mr. Nerurkar here. So Tata Steel is the lowest cost steel maker, and arguably so that they are the most lean steel enterprise in the world. So what best than going to Tata Steel, one of our own group companies. So they welcomed us, and they showed us all they could, and we had a blast. We just visited their operations. So we took all these inputs. So we took the inputs from our own success, then the inputs from our own people. Then we also visited Tata Steel, and I also want to acknowledge that we did visit SRF also, and Mr. Ramanathan is here. Thank you, sir. So SRF is also, they are also a Deming Price company. So we did visit SRF. We also got inputs from their folks, and all these inputs we collated, and then we developed our continuous improvement model, or rather operational excellence model, and which we will be discussing. Okay, so like I said, we identified best-in-class areas within our company, as well as the outside companies like Tata Steel, SRF, and we studied them in detail to collect best practice nuggets. So as you can see, I'm not planning to go through this whole slide, but just to see that we had one very intensive benchmarking exercise where we had 30 different people from all different parts of Tata Chemicals. They were all sent to various pockets of excellence within Tata Chemicals and outside as well. And then they came back, and they shared what they found as some best practices wherever they went. So we collected all that stuff, we collected all that nuggets, and then we extensively used tools like affinity diagramming and all that stuff to group all those nuggets. So we, if you had seen our workshop wall, it would be maybe bigger than this wall, and it was filled with post-it notes with all the nuggets. And what we did is we grouped those nuggets into 13 different elements of operational excellence. And those 13 elements are bucketed into 3 categories, which I will be discussing. So what's the outcome of our workshop? So we were able to define what operational excellence is. So as per us, as per Tata Chemicals, operational excellence is a set of 13 elements that define our operational excellence and helps us also assess its maturity. So these 13 elements are bucketed into 3 categories. Like I said, one is developing robust improvement system, and other is having a process to manage that system. And then the third, but certainly the most important piece is how do you enable and motivate people so that they manage that system. If you don't take care of that piece, whatever technically you do, all that is supposed to flounder. And that's what all the senior leaders who spoke before me, whether it's Mr. Ravichandran or John Shook, that's what they all touched on. How do you make sure that people, you're taking people with you? So eventually, like I said, we have these 13 elements, which we bucketed into 3 categories, and here are they. They are improvement systems, improvement management, and improvement enablers. It's not a surprise. If you see any business model, you always see 3 things. One is, having a strategy, other is having an operating model, and then getting people along. So it's not so, like uncommon that what we found. But what I'm so glad is that we found through, evolution, and we made sure that, we went through this journey. We didn't take a copy from some magazine, Harvard Business Review, and we didn't put that. But we went through that very difficult journey, and we came up with. And while, developing this model, what we also did is we developed 30 operational excellence champions, and they are from all the different plants, and also not only plants, also from the functions, whether sales, marketing, HR, or accounting. So these guys, again, when they go back to their functions, they are acting as operational excellence champions, because it's not a model that was forced on them from senior leadership. It is a model that they themselves developed. So that way, we were able to sell this much more better than had it been otherwise. And I'll quickly go through each of these 13 elements. Wouldn't take too much time in the next slides. So like I said, the three elements are improvement systems, improvement management, and improvement enablers. And under each one of these buckets, we have like 4 or 5 elements. And so under the improvement systems bucket, we have a few things like analytics, like how do you use analytics and how do you get context-specific insights so that you can go and improve things. And next piece is standardization. How do you continue to standardize? How do you make sure that things are repeatable no matter who does? And next piece is strategy deployment. So making sure that whatever the strategy that's coming from wherever it's coming from gets deployed, gets cascaded, and then again get recascaded back up so that there is nothing lost in translation. And then also, how do you use technology? So you can, technology not just means IT, not just business system or ERP, but also how do you use simple technologies in the shop floor? If you see, some of our plants are brand new. We have a brand new plant in, if not brand new, at least like 15-year-old plant in Babrala, which is the world's one of the most efficient urea producer in the world, and we get visitors from all over the world to come and see that plant. But then we also have a 75-year-old plant in in Mitapur, and some of the equipments that were put in that plant was like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and how do you continuously retrofit, upgrade them with the latest instrumentation and latest technology? And also, how do you leverage DCS, the distributed control system, to monitor your operations? So that's what we call technology-led simplification, taking work out. And again, last but not the least, safety, health, environment, and asset care. How do you make sure that the employee who goes into the plant comes out in the same shape at the end of the day, day after day? And that also goes with being environmentally sensitive, and also taking care of our assets, making sure that our assets perform well in their lifetime. So this is the first bucket, the improvement system. And the next bucket, improvement management, we have 4 elements. The first one is obviously measuring and tracking. How do we measure, track performances so that if things are not where they should be, how do we drive further improvement? And next piece is improvement initiatives. How do we continuously kick off improvement initiatives? The need could come from statutory issues or regulatory issues, or it could come from customers. It could come from our own internal findings, all that stuff. So how do you make sure that you continue to put such improvement initiatives on an ongoing basis? And then other important piece is how do you strategically invest on new capabilities that you want to bring in, and also how do you let go of things that somebody else could do better. Strategic outsourcing. If there are someone else who could do better than you, maybe it's not a bad thing to get those folks in. And then finally, certifications and audits and assessments. So here, what we also want to do is pursue the certifications, whether it's ISOs or the 14,000, 9,000, whatever that 1,000 is. How do we pursue that holistically? Not just putting a check mark. Okay, we have this ISO, whatever that number is. But how do we really get the best out of it? See, like not in my current company, but in one of my previous organizations, I went to a department and I saw a couple of folders. One was like ISO manual for the department, and the other was like user instructions. So I asked the guys, hey guys, you have ISO, shouldn't that include the user instructions? And they said, no, ISO is just for our compliance. We don't want to put too much detail, and all the details are in the user document. And, what's wrong with you? Why can't you use just one document for all the stuff? So that's what we are trying to do at Tata Chemicals. Not so much use the certifications for the sake of certification, but see how we can get holistic value out of it. And finally, like I said, the third element, but the most important, is the improvement enablers. Without having, taking our people with us, we cannot achieve anything. So first piece is how do we communicate purpose and direction to the team? And also, how do we ensure that we have a collaborative culture so that everyone is encouraged to participate and everyone does participate? And then the next piece is capability building. How do we continuously build capability? And how do we make sure that our people know exactly, what they are supposed to do? And one thing that, I'm also very proud of the Tata management, whether it's Tata Chemicals or, any other group company, is that the training that folks get in the group is really phenomenal. Any reasonable training, usually they get the approval. Nobody stands in their way. And the group does it holistically, not just, just to get some benefit out of the training, but really to get that person, the capability of that person improved. So the group does it holistically, so, which is a very encouraging thing for employees like me. And next piece, but certainly the most important, is how do we reward and recognize people? And it doesn't need to be monetary all the time. It could be, there's other alternative forms of recognition, but what kind of system we have for that? So with that, we came up with these 13 elements that define our operational excellence strategy, which, we will be using to assess the maturity of different departments, different functions, or sub-departments, and each of these 13 categories has very well written definition. It has an assessment criteria. See, for example, on capability building, I can say where this particular department is on a scale of 1 to 5. So that's the level of detail that we went through when we developed this whole model. So like I said, we developed assessment criteria for these 13 elements, and which we use to assess departments, functions, and plans. So like I said, my intention is not to give you, the reason it's intentionally small is just to show you that we have whatever this element is, and a detailed description, and what is it weightage, and on a scale of 1 to 5, if they, how do you know whether they are at 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? So we can quickly assess all these 13 elements. We just take a simple score sheet. We can go to the shop floor. We can just ask them questions and put the scale, where they are, and we can tally that at the end of the day, and we can tell them what is their operational excellence maturity is. Okay, so next piece is, where do we apply operational excellence? So when I ask you, what do you think? Where do you apply operational excellence? Any guess? Anyone? What's the first thought that comes to your mind? Manufacturing, right? Shop floor, very obvious, right? It's a no-brainer. So that's what most of the folks said. Manufacturing. But then what we said is, operational excellence process is domain agnostic. It can help us assess, any area across the value chain. And people were all surprised, and we have to do a very hard sell on the non-manufacturing aspects to really, push this agenda. So then finally we have to say that it's not just manufacturing operations where you are going to put this excellence model, but anything that you do, whether you're having supplier-facing operations like commodity management, procurement, or purchasing, sourcing, then obviously manufacturing, then engineering, R&D, or like even your downstream operations, like whether it's distribution, sales, marketing, customers, and not only that, not only this value chain, but also the enabling functions like finance, accounting, HR, legal, administration, all these folks. And they were all very challenged, and they said, hey, we don't do anything repeatable in HR and all that stuff. And our next challenge was, how do we sell this model to those guys as well, which is what I will explain to you. So very important thing for us is, how do we position operational excellence among other initiatives? So in any company, especially a company that is, I wouldn't call ourselves a large organization, but somewhat somewhere in between mid to large. Any organizations that mid or large, there will be galaxy of other initiatives and models. And if you are going to test a brand new process, brand new model, first thing is that people will say that some other model does this, and why do we need to have a newer model? So it's very important for us to position our operational excellence among other initiatives, which I will talk about quickly. So what we explain very clearly is that operational excellence process supports better execution of all corporate initiatives, and it doesn't compete with any of those initiatives. And I will explain that in a moment. So if you see, at a given time, we have several initiatives going on in the company, like, whether it's customer centricity or Lean Six Sigma, safety, or TBEM, which stands for Tata Business Excellence Model, which is really sacrosanct in Tata Group. And then we also have an employee engagement initiative. Then we have something called Shreshto, which is a Bengali word for some maintenance excellence. And then we have another program called Impact, and some X, Y, Z, all kind of initiatives. So now I don't want to put another vertical here and say that, okay, I have one extra piece. So the way we positioned it is that, guys, you guys can run whatever initiative you have, and all that operational excellence does is that it gives you an execution platform to run whatever initiative you have. So that's how we positioned it, and I've also explained with an example what I mean by this. See, for example, maybe I'll just dim the slide for a second. The most challenging area, anybody from sales and marketing here? Good. Glad to see you guys. So, well, I also had some stint in sales, so I'm also one of you at some point of time, so don't take me wrong. But the most challenging department was sales and marketing when I said that, guys, you also need to do operational excellence. And the first challenge was, hey, no, that's not our job. We are into sales, we are into marketing. Operations is not, what we do. And then I asked them, okay, give me one example of any initiative that you are doing. And they said, no, right now we want to work on customer centricity. That's what the top management wanted us to do. Okay, so then I asked them, what do you mean by customer centricity? So those guys said, okay, so customer centricity means I'm going to map out our current environment, benchmark that with world-class practices. We're going to capture key customer data. We are going to analyze that for customer behavior and develop actions based on analysis, and so on and so forth. So I tossed them these 13 elements and tell me, don't you see that whatever we are trying to do under customer centricity maps directly with operational excellence? So what the way we positioned it is that you certainly we are not belittling customer centricity. That's a very important program. So you can run the strategic aspects of customer centricity program in that name itself. But how do you execute that? You can probably use operational excellence because it provides you an execution vehicle or execution engine for anything that you are trying to do. That's the way that we positioned our operational excellence model. And then also other question that came was, has anyone heard about TBEM, Tata Business Excellence Model? Some of you, right? So as I said, that's a very sacrosanct thing in Tata Group, which is a brilliant stuff. And as some of you who may not have known about TBEM, it is a derivative of Baldrige framework, but actually it's not only a derivative, we also did some good work to further enhance the scope of Baldrige criteria. So anything in Tata Group has to comply with TBEM. So the questions naturally came as, okay, so there is already a business excellence model, and now that you are proposing operational excellence, aren't they conflicting? And so I have to say that no, it doesn't conflict, but it really helps pursuit of your business excellence model by focusing on these criteria. So the business excellence model focuses on these criteria at a top level, whereas operational excellence helps you get that done at a granular level. So they dovetail with each other, and they are complementary, and they don't compete. So that's how we have to position that. Right. So like any initiative that you are doing in your company, how you position it is important. So if you are positioning it as something competing, then see whether you need to even drive that initiative because already some other initiative is there. But if you think that it is really adding value, you need to figure out how it dovetails, and you need to explain, and only then you will get acceptance. So then sometimes you also say, we were also proposing a new scorecard for operational excellence. And other natural question is, hey, we have this BE index, which is Business Excellence Index, and how do you think that operational excellence, this new metrics that you are coming, wouldn't that conflict with our BE index? So we had to also say that, hey, your BE index focuses on these aspects at a higher level, whereas the operational excellence scorecard focuses on only these two aspects at a lower level. So there is a room for both. We are not double counting, and we are not, doing some busy work, but there is a real value add. So that's the amount of explanation that we have to provide, which is very fair. So with that, now that we have came up with the model, and rather I would say, we have developed our own model, and we have also convinced people the next piece is how do you go and put that into use into our operations. So which is deploying the operational excellence. So we came up with a very detailed deployment plan. What you see is at a high level, but then there are, for each of these bullet points, there are sub-bullet points, starting from how do you communicate the initiative, all the way to, like how do you get some video footage, more communication, develop collaterals, again, even more communication, and then identifying assessors who will go to different departments to assess the operational excellence maturity, training those folks, and then conducting the site level assessment and generating improvement themes, and finally, coming up with action items to implement those improvement themes. So, bunch of activities here that we planned out, and we also need to make sure that we name the names, like who is the program chair, who is the lead, and who is the champion from different functions, not only the plants but also the other enabling functions, right? And finally, we gave this scorecard. We trained the assessors, we gave this scorecard, so on a single scorecard, they can go to any department and they can say, this is again printed in an A3 size sheet. On the front side, you have the scorecard, and if you flip it, there is a definition for each one of them, and also the ranking or the scale. The scale is also printed on a scale of 1 to 5. So they can go ask some questions, and then they can say, what is the maturity of this analytics in this particular department on a scale of 1 to 5. And they can put the scores. And finally, we get something like this. For one department, what is their maturity in deploying operational excellence? So, in this department, they are at, on a scale of 1 to 5. In analytics, they are. In standardization, they are here. And here is an issue. Similarly, here is an issue. And here are obviously issues. So, it really helps us to get each of the departments, the maturity of each of the department captured, so that we know what the strengths are and what the issues that we need to work are. And we can also roll up the individual department to plant, to division, and eventually to enterprise level. So we can also say that, what is the operational excellence maturity at Tata Chemicals level. So this is again just one quick sample just to show you where is the, how we are generating improvement opportunities from assessment. So one assessment told us that, okay, so in analytics, we are not using the tools as much as we should to, get more solutions, or we are not doing risk assessment, or, we are not doing strategic outsourcing, or, this is the issue. Just to show you an example, my plan is not to read out the slide, but just to show you an example of how we are generating improvement themes out of this assessment. Because assessment, if you just get a score for an assessment and it goes sit on the shelf, and next year you will do an assessment, and what happened in between nobody knows, unless you come up with this improvement agenda and you drive that. So as a result, and I would say this program is like 6 months old, so the results are yet to come, but the early results are encouraging. So what I would say is that without the operational excellence framework, we wouldn't have known the existence of several opportunities for improvement. See, the biggest danger is, if you don't know what you don't know, that is the biggest danger. If you know what you don't know, then you can go do something about it, you can get to know that. The main challenge that we want to know is we want to know what we don't know, and this framework helped us to throw some light on that area. And again, quoting another legend, Shingo, what he said is that the best approach is to dig out and eliminate problems where they are assumed not to exist, and what we are trying in our own humble way is that positioning this operational excellence to do exactly what Mr. Shingo said. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
If you would like to ask any question to Ashok, most welcome.
Let's see. I'm sorry, could you repeat again? I'm sorry.
When you evaluate your facilities with that criteria, does it create one plant to the other competition? And what is, like, do you all have a way of bringing them up to speed, and is there a standard?
That's a great question. At the outset, we said that this is not a ranking criteria, and in fact, those who scored low, we really encourage them. I will just give you one very quick anecdote. Maybe I'll take 1 or 2 minutes, Dhirendra. See, when Ford Motor Company was going through all its issues, they had a new CEO, Alan Mulally, and I had the fortune of attending his keynote speech in American Society for Quality a few years ago. And when in Ford, they have one room called just some kind of metrics room where they display all the charts. And Mulali walked into the room and he said, he saw all kind of green charts and he said, brilliant, wow, you guys are doing excellent. But then the company lost $5 billion, what the heck? And the next day he walked in, he saw just one red, again sea of green, but just one little red. And he asked, who's that red? And everyone was terrified. Then one guy just raised his hand, sir, I am red. And what Ford did, very, very untypical from American, he went and that guy and said, wow, what a brilliant job you have done. Now come, let's do what we can do. So I'm going to, as a CEO, I'm going to help you whatever I can. And then the third day, when Mulali walked into the room, he was seeing sea of red. So the point is not to just shoot the messenger, but really encourage them and then make sure that, they are doing a brilliant job of bringing that thing. Right? So that's how we positioned.
I just have a question. You're talking about the TBM business excellence model.
Right.
And then we are talking about operational excellence. And in terms of an organization structure, the people who are dealing with OE and the BE, was it different or the same set of team was doing this?
Okay, so it's a different team. There was some overlap. We didn't intentionally, we didn't want to have the same team, but if they happened to be, there were one or two folks who were working on the BE, but these guys, the champions that we picked are not from any such functions. They are the guys who are running the business, whether they're heading the maintenance or working in maintenance, running the sales team or running in operations. So, but we also had like few BE folks as well.
But to my understanding, that business excellence encompasses the operational excellence.
That's what I also mapped in my slide.
My view is that if you are creating a competing army, already there are enough problems. In the business excellence, you form a corporate business excellence team and a unit business excellence team, and they say, oh, one more initiative has come here, kind of situation. And, it said, no, we do the business, you do the excellence.
Right.
I think you are creating one more army of operational excellence. And I think dealing with these structures becomes a real issue. I just wanted to know how we are able to overcome that.
Sure. So that's what I spent some good time about how I am positioning this initiative. It's not just one added initiative. So you have to explain the value add. If you cannot really distinguish between business excellence and operational excellence, you don't push your agenda. In our case, we were able to explain very clearly that BE stands at this level, and operational excellence digs into some of the details, which BE may not necessarily cover because it's an overarching business excellence model for, which can apply to any company or even non-profits. Whereas operational excellence goes deep into few categories at more at a granular level. So we were able to explain where this dovetails and where it adds value, and we were able to sell it.
Thank you.
Take the mic, please.
Today we heard a story of this Tata Chemical. As a large group of companies in India, how do you share these lean best practices within your group, within the SBUs of your group?
Sure. So there is a very formal initiative going on in the Tata Group. Right now we are working on one portal called Edge Portal, where the best practices of all the 100 different companies gets captured in that Edge Portal, and there is also some special interest group, and that group can comprise of people from different companies. And if I want to talk about, for example, robust design, I can talk to folks from Tata Motors or even Tata Power. So we are developing such special interest groups. And then other piece also is that we have this Tata Business Excellence Model, TBEM. The TBEM is a Tata Group initiative where the assessors are from different Tata companies. So we also get to visit other Tata companies, like you get to go to Tata Steel or like TCS. You are able to see what best practices are going on in that company, and then when we get back to our company as assessors, we also need to produce a report that said that these are all the best practices that we saw from outside, and this is what we are going to implement. And we will also be coming up with an action plan, not just a report sitting in the table, but an action plan. And I'm sure my colleagues in other Tata Group companies will also be doing the same. And that's how we, there are different mechanisms to answer your question.
Very much. And I request Mr. Mehta to come on stage and present a memento to Ashok as a token of respect from our side. Very good.
Thank you.